Good God Almighty. It is the Sweat Equity Podcast. I'm your host, Law Smith. We are without Caleb Putty again. We saved his chair open like Elijah at Seder. He'll be missed for the next 6 to 8 weeks. He is working on the scouting blog, so we'll make this episode brought to you by the scouting blog. Check out his website. Just Google it. I'm not sure if it's thescoutingblog.com or scouting blog, but go just Google it, find it. Find him on Instagram and Facebook, like all that stuff. Basically, he's becoming, what he'll do, and I make fun of him because I say he films high school boys, but basically that voice you're hearing on the other side is productivity expert Nick Snapp, Make It Snappy podcast. Let him hear you.
I'm Nick Snapp. I'm making it snappy right now.
See, I told you I got that tangent highway meets ADD stuff. So as I'm doing the plug for him, I'm like, well, I'll just bring you into this because Caleb basically has this company, this startup he's been working on for a while. It's been doing well, and he was real bummed that he can't participate as much with Sweat Equity Podcast the next couple of weeks. But I was like, dude, go do it. That's what this podcast is about. Yeah. It's about basically going, I have this idea. I have this dream business. This is what I want to do. And so he films high school baseball tournaments, and then he kind of flips around and he has the connections with coaches and baseball scouts in college and pro. So the way I told him, this is how I said to pitch it to parents. Look, you can spend, I forget how much it is to get like good HD. He gets a lot of angles. He cuts them up. He's got a team of editors and stuff. It's real awesome. But I was like, think of spending like $2,000 on your kid for that, but that could get you a scholarship. So it might be worth that kind of investment. Sure. So, and parents are crazier than ever these days about their kids playing sports and like having to be the best. So
it's a great idea.
I think there's always there's always an audience, because it's like, yeah, I'll do whatever it takes to get him to the next level kind of deal. So, so he's out on doing that and all that. So, mazel tov to him. We want to bring, before we get into it, remember, go on iTunes, subscribe, rate, review. That's the cheat code to get you up the rankings. Did you know that?
Yeah, it's a cheat code. I mean, there's a lot of controversy as to what the ratings and reviews actually do, but
that's what all the comedian buddies of mine tell me that have like they're in the top shows on iTunes. So I take their advice.
No, you got to get the ratings and reviews. It's just at what cost, right? Personal.
I definitely had someone on our Triple Option podcast, which is our college football one. We'll be starting in August. We only do it during the season.
Yeah.
But we had one. We asked people to rate and review, and we got one. It was like, it was like a 1 star. I don't like all the cussing. And I was like, this isn't for you. But
it's not what you were expecting.
You're that dickhead on Yelp that's like, I gotta say something. I gotta.
Who does that?
Spite's a better motivator than altruistic behavior.
Yes, and losing something is a better motivator than gaining something.
Yeah,
it has anything to do with anything, but
sure. No, I know. We sponsor a thing called Fuck Up Nights.
Right.
We have the next one coming. It's a thing that's all over the world. I didn't know that, but basically, it's entrepreneurs get up and they talk about how they fucked up and what they did to get out of it.
Okay.
So it's like a realistic TED Talk to me.
Yeah, straight up.
And so I like that way more. You learn way more by like trial and error and failing than like seeing a guy in a turtleneck and like a microphone from his ear to his mouth, like Janet Jackson or Madonna in the 90s, like just is chewing about something philosophical. That's why we're doing this podcast, is it's realistic advice, and it usually goes one of two ways. Either we kind of see like, how did you get from what you wanted to do to how you got there.
Sure.
Those kind of disciplines. I got up every morning at 5:30 and I ran, and that helped me clear my head. And then the rest of the day became easier.
Yeah, I love
stuff
that.
like that. I think that stuff is really important. Or it's like actual realistic advice, which I think you can give a lot of. You can do both, really, but
I'll be philosophical. I mean,
no,
sure,
but I mean,
you
like,
rein me back in.
No, but I mean, like, you can do. I think you can. No, it can be pragmatic advice. Like,
sure.
Hey, you were just showing me your Gantt chart for all your episodes of Make It Snappy with Nick Snapp podcast on
productivity
iTunes.
show, but yeah,
it's a productivity show, so you should have that. it'd be a little kind of faking it if you didn't.
Yeah, I'd run into that a lot, especially when I'm, we talk about failures, man. I mean, nobody's perfect. Even the productivity guy fails every now and then.
Sure.
Actually, probably a little bit more than every now and then. And I got this, what do I do about this? Do I communicate this? Do I reveal my flaws to all the people who think I'm super ultra productive? But no, it happens to the best of us. You got to be real with it.
Yeah. I get the same thing with our work here at Tokubaga Consulting, solving how. That's our new slug line.
Oh, nice.
I get that for because I'll go over a website we did with someone, with a client. And they're like, I'm like, I don't know what that is. Like, I'll say that out loud, trying to like adjust something, and they're like, you don't know what that is? I'm like, I don't know everything about everything. Like, not everything I can do live in front of you, as far as like editing a website or like looking at marketing metrics at first blush. I can't tell you exactly what these insights mean. I can tell you mostly, but I'll always go like, I don't claim to know everything.
But that doesn't mean you can't get it done for them.
No, we always get it done way ahead of our schedule. But we get blamed for their delays.
Hey, real quick on the iTunes review thing.
Yeah.
A little tip that I learned from my man Jay Wong. He's got a podcast called The Interchange Maker. I'm not sure why I'm getting him a shout out, but he's a good friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And his tip for the rating reviews for all you aspiring podcasters out there, and maybe you, is to get on Facebook Messenger and do a personalized video to the people that you want to rate and review, and they are 90% more likely to do that.
Yeah, that's a good call. That's a good guerrilla kind of way of doing it.
Yeah, and he got to the number one in his category, which is self-help, in the first few months, number one.
I feel like self-help guys have a better disposition to do stuff like that.
I think you're right.
Like, I don't know. There's a comedian and motivational speaker, Kyle Cease, and that immediately came to my head about I could see him being like, "Hey man, will you take 5 minutes and help me out?" That
you
feel
bad if you don't.
I don't know. I feel like let's just try to make this the best show, and hopefully it gets shared. So for those listening, make sure to share it with a friend, share it with a loved one, share it with your friend that is looking for realistic business advice. And if you go back in all our episodes, I've tried to have a good kind of smattering of different.
Smattering, is that a word?
Smattering, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I had a teacher that said it all the time. Smattering and homunculus for a little man was another word he used. But we try to have a good contrast of interviews. So after this, I think we have marketing director for Solo Salon Studios, and after that, I think we have Brian Schaefer, who owns Skate Park of Tampa and the Bricks and the building we're sitting in. So, because I want that you'll find through lines through all the interviews. I'm sure you've had that on yours.
Oh, definitely. Are you doing most of them local though?
I try to. Jenny from Sola, she's in Denver, so we're gonna do that via Skype.
Yeah, I was doing that.
Tricky.
For the local for the first 6 or 7 episodes. Then I went to Finland and called a guy named Timo Kiander from Finland who's in my space, and it just kind of blew it out the water. So I figured, okay, I'll just go everywhere. I
feel like Finland would be very good about productivity, efficiency.
Oh yeah.
I feel like they've got it kind of nailed over there.
They do. I think they do.
So how do you get into this? We were talking off mic. Neither of us had that innate ability to be super productive.
Sure.
And I have a lot of friends now that are like, are you working because you have to pay, do you have cancer or something that you need to pay these bills and you're working all the time? I'm like, no, I see it as I was a lazy kid growing up until I did my entrepreneurship business classes at Auburn in undergrad.
Okay.
And it clicked. And it was like, this is something I'm good at in school. Math was good for me, and then everything else was hard.
It just didn't light you up.
Yeah, it wasn't that it was hard. I don't think it was taught in a great way, but math could click no matter how boring the calculus was for me. Yeah. I could figure it out. I was good with that. But English, even science, which now I find myself reading more about. History I can't pay attention to unless it's Dan Carlin's history podcast, Yeah. So I feel like you were saying you have that similar thing where I was lazy, and then I was like, well, or just not productive, not doing a lot. And then I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. I love stand-up, and I want to do that forever, but I don't see that. I look at the guys who are way ahead of me, and I don't see that as a life that's awesome of being on the road 48 weekends a year, 5 days a week for those gigs.
I mean, productivity for me, I got into it out of necessity. I mean, I was in a situation where I was working already, an hour away, and I got moved to another facility that was like an hour and a half, 2 hours away, especially in traffic. I think my longest commute was like 2 hours, 20 minutes, ridiculous. One way. And I remember making the commitment to myself. Well, taking a step back, it was like, okay, work smarter, not harder. And I'm like, yeah, that's good advice, but what does that mean,
That's one of those sayings I'm like, I kind of hate it, but it makes sense,
Yeah. It was in my head, and I'm like, okay, well, that's great, but give me some application of how I can do this in my situation. And then when I was forced to go to a facility that was, at the risk of being an over 2 hour commute, I said, I'm not they're forcing me to go over here. I'm not going to give them more time than I gave them before. So I got there and I forced myself out of necessity to develop these systems and processes that worked, that would allow me to leave on time. And I didn't want to sacrifice it with my family. It was like a no-go for me. It was almost a stubborn, like, I'm going to do this whether you like it or not. So making that commitment, I learned how to set boundaries with people. I learned how to not let them linger in my office for 45 minutes, how to cut them off early, how to schedule my days. And I wasn't even into like reading that much about time management or anything. I didn't even really do that much research. I just iterated on my own process and found things that worked. And then I did that for, I don't know, my year and a half, and I remember asking my boss back then, I was like, hey, I got a new boss. That's what it was. I got a new boss, and the old one used to let me come in or not come in once a week if I wanted to. He's like, hey, if you don't have anything going on that's critical, you can go ahead and work from home. That's fine. Great. Well, I got a new one.
All right.
And he told me, no, I need you here. And that lit some sort of spark. Michael Gerber calls it the entrepreneurial seizure. In the E-Myth book, I had my seizure, and I'm like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't know why he's in the position he's in. He doesn't get it.
He wants control. He doesn't understand that I'm way more productive if I'm got a little flexibility.
Yeah, and I have autonomy and freedom. That's the kind of thing that motivates people in these large corporations. So it was that point I had my seizure. It was 2011. It was March 7th,
like a real seizure or like a fictitious seizure of like frustration. I can't tell.
It was a total metaphorical seizure. But
okay, I was like,
I'm taking the metaphor from the book, but it felt like a seizure, man. Because I remember. Felt alive. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna figure this out. I don't want anybody to have control over my life like this anymore. So my original motivations were very, very selfish for why I wanted to start a business, and because of that, I felt like I was grinding and on this hamster wheel because I didn't really know. All I knew is that I wanted to replace my income and get out of the situation, this lack of control that I had. And over time, it took about 5 years. I really started learning and educating myself and reading books and realizing, you know what, if I'm gonna get in a business for myself, I need to be helping people. I need to find some sort of way to add value, and then the money will come. So when I kind of switched that paradigm, I realized that I got this skill set that I developed, one, by having this long commute, and two, by figuring out how to sort of hack corporate, this productive things I could do in corporate to make the most efficient use of my time and not let this guy control me. I decided to turn that into a business and help other people get their time back too.
Nice. And I think it comes out of frustration, and that's why I'm not I wouldn't say OCD, because obviously, I mean, it's almost embarrassing how like disgusting our office has been. And you started your first podcast episode in here, and it doesn't look too different. Like it's 6 months later, whatever.
The couch is cleaned up, but there was piles of stuff, I think, if I remember.
Yeah. Well, it's also like if I spend too much time making this place look cool, we're not doing the work. But at the same time, I could spend 20 minutes, break up. Sometimes if I'm sitting at a computer too long, busting out, some work for a client, that sedentary life it's starting to I'm starting to be more conscious of that, and like get up every hour or go take a walk for 20 minutes without the phone. And
I mean, you've kind of understand the Pomodoro technique a little bit. Then you've heard of this.
They all have these cool names. I need to borrow all these. I need to memorize these.
It makes it sound smart when you bring it up. That's exactly what I was trying to do. But when you sit, Pomodoro's is just basically taking a timer. You want a task, and the less time you give yourself the task, the more likely you're able to be more efficient and work towards it. So Pomodoro's for me are anywhere from 25 to 50 minutes, set a timer, and then when that thing goes off, cut myself off and take that walk, go downstairs, whatever you got to do, and clear your head, and then you come back and you'll be more refreshed and ready to do the job. You can do a couple different Pomodoros to take care of the task, or maybe one will take care of the whole thing depending on what you're doing. But splitting that up is just crucial. There's these little things that we take for granted, especially when we be kind of ingrained in the corporate world to just work and be at your desk and make it look like you're doing things, and you kind of learn how to hack the system by just kind of making yourself look busy. But in reality, if you want to get things done, the 3 most boring pieces of advice in the world. It's like eat right, exercise, and get sleep. Well, that part of that and the ability to focus is by taking those sort of breaks. So that goes hand in hand with that thing. So
I mean, like, take that advice. Now let's really kind of break it down.
Sure.
Because this is kind of the minutia stuff I want to get into. Is like, okay, if you use your calendar, you should start using the calendar kind of religiously to get you disciplined. Yeah. So what I talk about when I do consulting, I say our consulting wing of all our services, business efficiencies included, which is like productivity flow or sales flow or sales funnel, marketing funnel, whatever it is, the questions you should be asking, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All that stuff it's just disciplines. And so I think we were talking a little bit off mic before this, but, I do a meeting now. I make sure, and I used to be really good at this. If I do a client meeting, I spend 10, 15 minutes just writing everything down, organizing it, put it in Evernote. Or,
after the meeting?
Yeah. And then kicking it out to anybody that I need to get it to.
Sure.
Now I have it in my head, so I'm thoughtful about it now. But if it's something where like you go to someone's place and you have a meeting at their office, okay, right after the meeting, leave there, go to a Starbucks or whatever is close by, because I know myself, know thyself. I know my memory sucks. And I try to write notes while I'm there. I'm getting into the habit of filming client meetings, for the video wise.
Really?
So,
okay.
Well, here's a productivity thing. I pull in a lot of freelancers all over the place. So we're kind of an umbrella of, I may pull you in on something. Actually, I have a lot of stuff for you that I might want to bring you in for clients that need your help, where it's a lot of disciplines. And business owners, they start up because they have because they're a good chef, or because they sold one product really well, or did one service, but they never were attuned to their own disciplines to be like, well, I can't run at this speed forever, or I'm going to just be like, I talked to a cleaning service, and she got it. She was a maid. She came here from Mexico. She's a maid, and then was like, yeah, I don't want to be actually doing the cleaning. I want to have a team. But
you can't be a technician and a business owner at the same time. It doesn't work out.
Yeah, and people are like, well, then I'm going to lose my fastball. And it's like, no, I see us. For us, I always said part of our business plan was to have 20% of our time or 10% of our time or whatever towards charities, nonprofits that we can help. So we donate. Yeah, it's the Google rule. I mean, that's what they do with their time. It fosters creativity. I want to be community wherever we are. I want that to be part of our kind of mission. And so like downstairs, outside from here, on the other block, is like high risk hope. And I told they're for premature babies. And I was just like, yeah, I want to put you in our mix to be able to help. I don't know how much time that is, but that's like, we'll donate an hour every week, every month or something.
About time and resources and financial resources.
Yeah. Cause again, what a lot of consulting I do is coming in and going, why are you doing this? You should be doing it this way.
Yeah.
And I like doing that stuff for free anyway. So that's how you have the job you like, because my wife is like, you need to kind of delegate this line a little bit while you're out and about at a party. And I'm like, yeah, but and I'm sure you get this too. You can tell everybody, like, I can give all the advice I want on this podcast. Not everybody's going to take it.
Sure.
In fact, it's very few and far between people that actually sit down and write down, oh, that was cool. I'm going to go look that up and try to implement that.
Right.
I've gotten good at that because I was really bad at it.
Well, if there's no skin in the game, people are much more likely just to let it go in one ear or the other. You know, it's just a lot of times you gotta kind of put your money where your mouth is, because you're perceived mentally that if I'm paying for this service, it's more valuable, and you can get just as valuable advice over podcasts like we're talking now, or free advice at a party. It's interesting how that works.
Well, this is good because we now have somewhere between 500 and 1,000 listeners, right? But the people who are listening are really into it. Like they come back a lot.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. Like some of my clients are listening to it and they're like, yeah, this is great. I loved that one, and that one. I listened to the other day and I'm like, oh, weird. You don't think it's going to come back into like your business world as like they're still listening to my mumbly voice, while they're on a jog or getting groceries or something.
They know you better than you think you do. They do. Right?
Well, I'm starting to repeat myself, which my wife calls me out on a lot.
Oh, she listens?
No. She just hears me say the same stuff a lot. I don't think she's listened to one episode. So
mine hasn't either.
She has to, but they have to hear us all the time because we'll probably nerd out about like something that's super mundane and just like, the task manager I'm using is Zindu, or the Harvest app I use to track time. Oh, that syncs with QuickBooks. That's awesome.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't care. Oh, I got Proposify to help cut down the time I make proposals because that's eating up fucking 3 or 4 hours every time I'm doing it. And that's frustrating. So that frustration turns into like, let's fix this because I'm miserable doing a completely new proposal every time when only, 5 things need to be kind of switched out. It's 5 pages or so.
That's cool. I haven't heard of Proposify.
Check it out. It's good, man. It's definitely one of those things that you can't just start doing it all at once, but over time, if it'll pay itself off in the sense that it's a cloud sharing proposal kind of thing. So if you and I are on a bid together as our companies are collaborating, you and I can kind of add our stuff and you can look at it, revise it whenever you have time, and then we can both send it.
I love the fact they're using Harvest though, so time tracking is huge for me. And I kind of switched my thinking around tracking your personal time. I used to track every moment of my life to try to figure out where I'm spending it. It was ridiculous, but I was doing more of an experiment. I did it for about 90 days. Every single moment of my life, and I used a time logger too as my app, very similar stuff. And I categorize it, and the goal was to figure out, okay, where am I spending those unknown pockets of my time that I'm not really realizing. I did a couple things. One, by just tracking your time, you're more diligent on how you spend it, like what's tracked gets measured, or what's measured, whatever. The expression actually gets attention.
No, I don't. I was like, is this a golf thing?
Whatever gets measured gets attention, I think is the expression.
Okay.
So there's some level of improvement there, but it opened my eyes to realize that when I first launched my podcast, I was spending like 9, almost 10 hours a week on it. It was for one episode. It was
shit.
Ridiculous. I don't know what I was doing. It was obviously a rookie mistake and stuff, but then that allowed me to start setting these smaller goals and figured, what else am I spending my time on? On email or blogging, how long is that stuff taking? And then asking myself why. So looking at it, tracking my time like every single moment, I could take those pieces of time, those blocks of time, and say, okay, well, I want to reduce this podcast thing down to, I shouldn't be spending more than 3 hours a week on a podcast, period. So what do I need to do to build towards that? And setting like smaller goals and tracking that and seeing where the before and after situations. Tracking my times help like that. I don't do every moment anymore, but I do track specific times that I know I need to improve. And if I have some sort of hypothesis as to what's eating up my time, tracking the thing that's eating it up and tracking the thing that I want to do. It's like the two opposite things. Like, well, how do I want to be spending my time and how do I think I'm spending it?
Yep.
And then setting goals against that. That's been real helpful.
Yeah, and it's so going back to like, how do you get to these disciplines? Yeah. So I'm bad at that. So what I had to do to kind of remind myself that I need to track my time like an attorney, but I want to track everything because maybe I'm spending too much time writing emails for potential clients. Maybe I'm spending way too much time. And for us, I want to do I want to have better transparency on our quotes over time. So social media management's a bitch. Like that takes a lot of time because if you listen to our last podcast, anybody listening out there, we kind of break it down in like 15 minutes. You're kind of a mini PR person.
Yeah.
And then you're also, quality control and comments, and you have to do the creative, and you have to get the message and the branding. And a lot of companies don't have that shit ready to go for you. So you have to kind of like, you're scrounging for stuff to push. So there's stuff like that where, that should cost more per hour, or I should allot more of my quotes. So it's like a chicken and egg thing. I need to continually like look back at what we're spending. But what I had to do in my iCal was go for harvest. I need to put in, I tried to do this 5-minute reminder in the morning, one at lunch, and one, at like 6.
That can be effective as long as you don't ignore them. I noticed when I had these reoccurring things going on every day, I just tended to ignore them. So now I left it a little bit more flexibility in that. But I like what you're saying as far as estimation of time. There's estimation of how much things cost, like if you're estimating parts and that sort of thing, if you need to actually build infrastructure, and then there's just your personal time.
Right.
And if you don't track that, it's just a guess. And I remember like,
oh yeah, man.
The biggest challenge for me when I'm trying to set out goals and schedule my day is misestimation. Like I'll spend 2.5 hours on something I thought would only take a half an hour.
Right.
But it goes back to, if it's only just a project, don't think of yourself having to track every single moment of your life like I was doing indefinitely. But if you do set out to track those specific little things, you can get better estimations and better quotes, like you're saying, and then better use of your time, because you know what you can do. David Allen says you can do anything, but you can't do everything.
Yeah, delegate. Yeah, and so
powerful thing.
You have a product, like you break down businesses simply. Like, all right, you have you're a company that sells a product, or you're a company that sells a product and a service, like your auto repair shop, or you're a service company, cleaning, lawyer, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Where it feels like everything's in the ether. We're a service company. The tangible stuff we have is a lot of branding and design stuff. Other than that, it's not everything's just on the internet, or in project management form and all that stuff. So it's all in the cloud. It's all in Dropbox or whatever.
Yeah.
So my thing is, how can I justify our rate in every service industry that's listening? Anybody that has a service company, or you have a friend that has a small business that's service oriented, or a freelancer, they need to do something like using the Harvest app, or there's a bunch of time accounting apps. Basically, you have to be diligent about that.
Oh man, I disagree.
I think how are you ever going to know your price? Like, what's your price worth?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, testing the market and see what the market can bear, the demand for your
service. That's one part of pricing, though.
But yeah, and this is just me talking law.
Yeah.
If somebody asks me to justify my rate, I don't want to work with them. I look for clients that will accept the value that I think that I'm worth. So I look at, okay, well, how does this rate make me feel about what I'm doing? Like when I first started doing the productivity strategy coaching, I was, for all intents and purposes, underbidding myself because I wanted to get clients. I didn't really understand how that would make me feel and how it would be a burden.
Right.
You're going to these different sessions. So once I started pricing what I thought that I was worth and what I wanted to make, it was easy work because I wanted to do it and I was inspired. And then they're paying more, so they're inspired to actually take action and do things. So I don't work with clients that ask me to justify my rate.
Yeah, well, it can come in roundabout ways, though. And I agree. There's a qualified lead part of this, too, that I'm kind of omitting. But I'm saying, like, in our world, and I think in a lot of just regular professional service industries or companies, kind of industries, the way pricing's tough. I think that's the toughest thing in business.
Yeah.
So let's really try to make a data-driven decision on what we're doing, other than just looking at the marketplace around us and going, well, we're not as big as that company yet, but we're better than freelancers. So, and our stuff has so many variables and so much stuff that's a lot of learning process for people that I need to show them, like, well, this block of time takes, this is why do a website. The exit of the website, we always do a quality control check. We do speed times. We make sure it's SSL secure. We have 40 things on a checklist. That's 3 hours at least, and that's quick. We
Sure.
click every button. I have proofreaders and everything. So it's one of those things where people are like, for us, it's like we're house contractors. No one knows how much shit costs. They're like, what's a website? Like $1,000, $100,000? I don't know. And it's like, well, here's why I think it costs this much.
It makes it, it's scope of work type stuff. And it's funny that the engineer's telling you not to justify yourself. not that I'm doing that. No, absolutely knowing what goes into your products and service, what's the scope of work that you're developing and what that takes you to do it. I look at that more of as an internal function where you need to know what you're worth and what your time's worth, and if you're going to go and bid on something, have something to base it off of for you.
Yeah.
But from the client perspective, that's great that you have it for them, but I tend to look at that as, look, what service or product do you want? What do you want it to do? Well, I'll nail the scope for you and make sure you're getting every single thing that you need, and I'll show you examples of my work. But knowing how our open book business model sort of thing, I think that's more of like a...
I'm not saying 100% white like, here you go, check it out. I'm not Elon Musk with with the light rail or any of that, or the speed train or whatever it is. But I'm saying, like, how do we justify our price? Because we're priced like an attorney,
Sure.
and that's kind of the model I'm taking from. We need to track time if we're doing that. So it's one of those things where I kind of like that attorneys that they write every 6 minutes. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's a good accountability for this, because there is a lot of, like, your stuff might be more involved where you're kind of doing maybe more scrum meetings or doing just more meetings in general as you're helping on a process. Whereas ours is like, all right, give me all the info. And then, I'm going to do more scrum meetings in the future, but like, we're just going to get all this work done, and then we'll get you to the edits to look over them.
Well, you're being disciplined. That's what you got to do.
That's but I just think, and I also think it'd be interesting and kind of, so commoditizing that, maybe if we figure out a better quoting method for services that you can pull, if you can figure out what the market is demanding in your local area, let's say you're an attorney, and you charge $395 because most of the big ones charge close to $1,000 or something, and you're just doing it just to kind of get that bid, just get in the door, like you're saying, when you're young, when you're a young company or whatever. But you also have, like, you can justify the time spent, and here's what it looks like. The hours I bid doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be the actual hours spent. And you're also paying me for my knowledge at the same time.
Value billing. Sure.
So that's another aspect to it. But also, you wanted these contracts done way quicker, so there's an increase. There should be a coefficient to it.
Pay a premium for that, sure.
Right, expedited service, and then the other part is I want to give a client score, because ultimately, if they're going to be a pain in the ass, we should be charging more, because that admin time is going to eat. I'm going to be like, hey, where is it? Like, I need this stuff. I need this stuff. And if they keep delaying it, which delays us and technically our cash flows on our schedule, then there should be a pain in the ass score, as I'm calling it, 1 to 10. Yeah. And then if they're a pain in the ass at like 9, we figure out whatever the mathematical coefficient of wasting my time is to our quote.
If your client's a pain in the ass, though, why would you want to work with them again? Is it really worth it?
It might not be because they're a bad person, though. It might just be because they're super unorganized,
Still, though, I mean, do you really want to put yourself through that as a business owner to
Depends on what kind of deal we're working on. Sometimes we do, licensing deals, or sometimes we do cost per click advertising. They'll pay for us to do that, and then we'll have a VIG on everything sold. Yeah. And it might be a good product, like one of the clients we have.
But ultimately, though, it's coming down to the value of your time. This client's going to eat up 25% more of your time, and you're going to give them what it's worth, and it's the pain part of it. It doesn't supersede the value at the end of the day for the project for you.
Maybe. It depends. It just depends. Maybe it's not right for me to project manage. Maybe I need to pull in one of my partners or someone or another PM as a freelancer to come in, like yourself, and have more. Maybe it's just a mesh of personalities. Maybe I just don't have. Sometimes that's a lot of it. I deal with that with designers, with graphic designers. Sometimes their style just isn't good for the client. So I have like 15 local ones here. Sometimes they don't have the labor capacity either. So it's like you got to kind of figure out who's right at the right time, but stylistically, and timeline wise and all that stuff. So I've talked a lot about myself. I guess what's good advice that you like if you're just, let's say we're at some big venue in front of a bunch of business owners or something, and or people that want to own their own business one day or do their own deal. I think our generation is really itching to like, I want to be a part of something. I don't want to be I have the ability to get this access of a lot of stuff. Like I've taught myself a lot of stuff via YouTube.
Oh yeah.
And I think like the more and more I talk to friends around our age, the more they want to do something that's satisfying. There's always friends that want to have cash more than anything, but I feel like a lot of people just want to be involved in something that's got momentum in a good direction.
I think it's the reason why you should start a business or become more involved with any organization that's got purpose. My whole platform, I talk about productivity on purpose, because if you can be as productive as you want, checking things off your list, your task manager, but if there's no purpose behind it, it's not getting you closer to what you ultimately see your lifestyle being and how you want to spend your time. You're not being productive. You're just killing time. So the advice would be, first understand that, know your why you want to even get into it. Money will be a driver up front just to try to replace that income and get under the finger of the corporate man or whatever. But at the end of the day, asking yourself that, and this is a process that I had to go through, was once the money's there, if money's not an issue anymore, then how am I going to spend my time? And more oftentimes than not, that's a very difficult question to answer, because people don't necessarily think about that. If I had all the money, or what would I actually do with my time?
Yeah.
And then two, you can actually, a lot of times, do the things that you want to do if you had all the money in the world. Like I ask people, what would you do if you had all the money in the world? One time I to give a talk at the University of South Florida, and one of the students said, well, I do yoga. I'm like, well, you do yoga? Well, why do you need all the money in the world to do yoga? Like it's just
right.
Things like that.
It's
or
free.
I
It's in the
travel
park.
more. Or I travel more, or I go live in another country. And then for the productivity perspective, I get to the coaching piece of it. It's like, oh, that's what you want to do. You have this business. You're completely misaligned with what you want to do. So what small steps can we take to get you closer to that vision for your life? So if you want to go move into another country, okay, what's that going to take? I'm big on the next logical step, just breaking things down to their component parts, these monster elephant tasks. What's the next thing you need to do? And then after that, because I'm a process-oriented guy. I think that's how I think. So I think that if you want to get in business for yourself, understand your drivers, and it can't be money. Money's just a tool to get you ultimately where you want to go.
Yeah, there's a minimum criteria. How about that? That's kind of how I see it. I see it mathematically as well. So it's like, what are the constraints that I need? I need at least this much I need to make this much, a month. But I really want to work on that yoga studio. How do I do that? How do you make money having a yoga studio? Oh, I got to kind of lease the space out, like small baby leases to all the yogis in the whole area.
Yeah.
That's one part of it. And then you start thinking of the productivity of the room you have. You're like, okay, I can fit 30 mats in here comfortably without ruining customer experience. And I think I can charge, 15 a class or whatever. And you kind of start reverse engineering it a little bit.
Absolutely.
So
making a plan is what you're talking about. I get the big stumbling block that I ran into after I had my seizure, the next 5 years after that, was trying to build this thing on the side, whereas you don't have the time that you would if you just dove. So there's this paradigm where if you're all in, go all in, burn the ships, or build this thing on the side over time until you have enough reserves to go ahead and take the leap, which is the way ultimately I did it. But looking back on it, if I would have calculated and factored in the opportunity cost of me staying with this company versus how much I potentially could be making if I took this leap at the other time, is a different way to look at it. So maybe just having enough to get by until you do, and being diligent about predicting when you'd have certain pieces of income for this new business idea that you're having,
Mm-hmm.
how much you have at various times, and then what checkpoints along the way to know whether you're on track and how to pivot. So thinking through that stuff takes a lot more discipline versus just building up this huge nest egg, then leaping and not knowing what you're doing.
Yeah. And that's what I tell everybody. Hey, you want to be a fashion consultant? Great. Start with a website and start blogging. Have a blog once a week, and if you miss that, you make yourself donate $500 or something like that.
So you know about Stick?
I don't know any of these things. I just like this.
I love that though.
This is all just like how I think. I mean, like, that's the advice I gave to someone, and I was like, all right, do this. Spend 10 hours a week. Figure out how to chunk out 10 hours after your 45-hour-a-week job. It's doable, especially if you don't have kids and like you're able-bodied and you've got a decent job that's consistent. A lot of people have that want to have a wandering eye, and that's what I tell them. Find 10 hours and spend it over in that way. But with that blog idea and being consistent in your content, over time that might be more of a portfolio. Also, you're going to get more introverted and kind of think about how you think to talk to people. And so it's all in a good direction, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of times something like 10 hours might be overwhelming for people. So I just start small wins for me. For somebody who just doesn't even have any idea what to do or start, or just they're in their corporate world and they have this idea. It's like, well, what habit can you develop that you know you're going to knock out of the park?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just 5 minutes a day. That's fine. Like, okay, what can you do in 5 minutes? And you just don't break that 5-minute chain each day.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily need to be a huge chunk, because then if you don't hit that huge chunk, then you start feeling like a failure, and then you just want to go back and curl up and put the sheets over your head in the bed or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah, small wins, man. Like, even with exercise and stuff, I only shoot for 15 minutes a day. Like, if I can get in for 15 minutes, more than likely I'll go for 45.
Yeah. I've got the yoga mat in the office because I need a little break. I'll sit down and if I'm at my best, I'll spend that time and I'll do DDP yoga or something like that. Diamond Dallas Page. Yeah.
Nice.
It's got a little yoga. Did you know that? Yeah.
I didn't know.
It's like hardcore. But like, I need that break. I need my heart rate up. But I have a bad back. I got bad hips, and I can't keep bitching about that without doing something about it. So while we're doing great business wise, you know, my health isn't as good as it should be, and I know I'm more productive if I got up every morning and did some kind of physical activity.
But it's almost counterintuitive. You almost need to learn the hard way. For me, it was sleep. It was really hard for me to understand the value of that until I forced myself for a week to go to bed at 9:30 at all costs. You talk about accountability. We talked about at the beginning of it's harder to lose something than it is to gain. So he says the $500 thing. They have this. It's brilliant, and I need to become an affiliate or something. This platform called Stick.com. It's STICKK, or maybe it's just STIKK. I can't remember. But the whole premise is you set your goal. You find an accountability coach or referee, I think they call it.
Yeah.
Somebody that you know is going to be hardcore, hold your feet to the fire, and you put money in the line. And the money, not only do you lose it, but you lose it to like an anti-charity.
Oh.
So something.
You're like, this went to the KKK.
Exactly.
And you're like, what? Stick, KK? Like, what are you doing, man? I didn't want to give to that. And you're like, sorry, you suck.
Like, and your referee's the one that signs it off. So you got to get somebody you know is going to hold your feet to the fire. Unless it didn't get done, I'm not going to let you have your money. You're going to lose it. So it provides a lot of incentive.
Mine's going to lazy comedians that bitch about their plight in life.
I think I saw that as a pull down.
Yeah. The drop down was like, do you want to donate to lazy comedians that play Halo all the time and bitch about not getting stage time? But that's interesting. So I think there's a Freakonomics episode about that accountability where, like, all right, you like watching House of Cards. Fine. While you're watching House of Cards, bang out 400 sit-ups while you're sitting there. And that's kind of what I do. I try to be efficient with the time. I love the show Bloodline. It's a commitment to watch it. Like, and like I'm catching up because my wife wants to watch it with me, and I'm trying to catch up, but I don't have a lot of time. I'm like, if I'm watching TV, it's because I'm just trying to fade out and go to sleep.
Yeah.
And so like, I was like, okay, I'll catch up on all this stuff, you know, but I'm going to sit there and like, I'm going to work out while I'm doing it. I can still pay attention. I'll keep my mind on it, but at least I'm getting something done, that kind of thing. Or more what Freakonomics was talking about, I think, was rewarding yourself. Like, you're only allowed to watch TV if you're already doing some kind of stretching, floor exercise, and get that over with for the day.
I totally agree, man. I talk about that all the time. And podcasting, listening to podcasts is another great way to multitask when you're working out, if you can focus on what you're doing, I guess. But yeah, like social media. So say people just want to veg out and get on social media and stuff. That's just such a distraction nowadays. But a lot of times I'll tell clients that, look, get that one thing that you need to do for the day, and we can work out what is the one thing. That's the tough part. Like, what is that one thing you need to do today or this week or this month? But then once that's done, reward yourself with half an hour on social media. You know, just stuff like that. Like, don't deprive yourself, but set it up in such a way that it's not consuming you.
Right. Yeah. You know, I think the average person like opens Facebook like an absurd amount a day, like 13 times. And it's like, well done, Facebook. You got us. You got us. Now we can't leave.
Right.
If we're on there and you're kind of active, it's going to be really hard to leave, even though right now is a little tough with the Orlando stuff and everybody throwing out their opinions on all that. And, you know, but it is cool to see people throwing out, you know, the line in Orlando for getting your blood done. So for me, I have to keep up with it a little bit, but I know I can reduce the amount I'm on there. You know, it's like I find myself like flicking through that or Twitter, or Instagram, whatever, and it's like, I can go read a book right now, like,
sure,
and like get way more out of that, and you know, keep my mind kind of a little bit more sane.
I think the habit is just trying to be deliberate with your time. How can you just be more deliberate with your time and not being a Nazi about it and schedule every 5 minutes in your calendar, leaving the buffers, you know, putting the blocks of whatever it is you need to do. The thing that I've been experimenting with a little bit lately is I have a retainer client that sucks up anywhere from, 10 to 20 hours a week, depending on what's going on. So typically my bogey to work on his work is about 2 hours a day. So that leaves me about 6 hours because I'm committed. As a productivity guy, I don't want to be a hypocrite. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
You know, I need to leave work on time and make it work. Even though I'm building a business, I still need to leave work on time, and I'm not going to be that guy who's working 60, 70 hours a week.
You got 3 kids too. You just had a kid, right?
I do, yeah.
So that's another monkey wrench in there as far as like it's going to knock your sleep. It's going to, you know.
Yes.
And it's exponentially harder with 3 kids than it is with 1. But
there's little hacks too. Okay, so I got 6 hours as my bogey. I want to schedule 4 hours of work.
Yeah.
2 hours buffer. So if I got a really crappy night's sleep, then I got 2 hours to where I can take a nap and eat lunch or check email. Like there's 4 hours of really, really good work, which is probably 95% better than the average office worker.
Yeah.
You're getting 4 hours of solid work, and especially if you're doing it with the Pomodoro stuff where you're doing it every 25 to 50 minutes, you're taking those breaks and you're being focused when you do it. So that's all I really try to get done every day now. It's just that 4 hours. And I make sure that there's 2 hours of gaps, 2 hours with the retainer client. If I don't need to do any work on the retainer client, then okay, I got another 2 hours of gaps. So it just lets me be a little bit, deliberate with my time because I know exactly it forces my thinking to say, okay, what do I absolutely need to get done today?
Yep.
Because I'm only doing it for 4 hours. And then it allows me to fill it in with other stuff that might come up without beating myself up for getting, crafting an email for 45 minutes or something.
Yeah. And I need to start messing around with like, what is it? I think you hit the function button twice and it'll write out everything you're saying. I need to start using that because, dude, those emails, if I waste 30 minutes writing an email, I want to kill myself. Like, that's like, God damn it. Like, and I write ones that it take me an hour or more. And it's like, and then after I write it, I'm like, that person's not even going to read the whole fucking thing. So it's like, I'm just doing this to have legal timestamp a lot of the time. You know, like, what am I doing? This is a waste. So I'm trying to get more efficient on that side. I feel like I waste a lot of time falling back with people. And if I can just get on this mic, really, or I have a mic in my desk and just bang out.
Dictate it?
I can do that a lot quicker and then edit, a couple minutes. But
that'd be good for you because you're on the stage. You're used to doing that without kind of stammering through what you have to say. But I think the average person, that'd be tough.
You haven't seen my stand-up. No, well, I mean, what I would do is I'd probably write bullet points out on a scratch piece and then just try to break those out.
That's a really effective way to do it, actually. Just having for anything, if you're giving a speech or a presentation or probably a comedy routine, just knowing what are those bullets you want to say, and filling them in is so much more.
So what Patrice O'Neill said, he's like, I know the punchline. I know how I'm going to start. I don't know how I'm going to get there. And that's how I've always once I heard that clicked a lot. Plus my memory's bad. And so it's like, I have to have that outline form as I'm memorizing it. And I'll keep writing the set list over and over and over until it kind of sticks. I change my set list all the time. So I don't think I've done the same set list in like 5 years or something like that. So, that's a Louis C.K. thing. He's like, just mix it up. It'll make you better. So like your closer, just put it at the beginning or the middle or something, and just it makes the other bit stronger.
And for blogging too, I learned that recently, that write your intro, write your closing remarks first, so that you know where you're going. Versus I used to just write endlessly, and all of a sudden I had like 2,000 word blog posts. I'm like, what is this? It's good content, but nobody's gonna read 2,000 words,
Yeah, unless it's like something where it is that concentrated, like you have a Medium blog, and like that's where that should be, like that's for readers kind of thing, or your readers on your site are like into that. But most people still, you're grabbing them while they're taking a shit. Let's face it, if you can get them, what I say is like, if you're doing content writing where you get them to their legs fall asleep because they're on their phone, you've done a good job.
I like that.
We'll close this out in a few minutes. I mean, like, do you have it? We'll close it out in a couple minutes, I guess. But any pragmatic advice, any efficiency advice, or any apps people should get, or what like, if you only have a couple seconds to tell someone like what's going on, what can you tell them? Let's go Wantrepreneurs, the people that want to do something. They want to be on Shark Tank. They've got an idea, or they want to open a restaurant or a bar. What would you tell them they need? Like, what's a good hack or a good discipline to do?
The best hack I can say is get around people that are doing what you're doing. If I wouldn't have, gosh, man, I spun my wheels for 5 years. Just I used to go to work at the office, find a conference room to hide into for 2 hours, crank on my little book that I was writing, and it's just, I don't want to get into what I was doing, but it was ridiculous. And it was just
it's called
me.
A manifesto, but yeah.
learn. I was just learning all by myself. I didn't know any entrepreneurs at all. And if I would have just taken the time to research the different organizations in the area and found people that are doing what I'm doing and learn from them, man, it would have been just so much quicker. Yeah. So that's the biggest hack I could say. Just find somebody and copy what they're doing, but do it your own way.
Yeah, it's hard to soar with the eagles when you're surrounded by turkeys, kind of deal.
It is.
Yeah, it's that thing of like, I'm the same way. Like, I can't. It took me a while to get that too. Like, you love some of your friends growing up, but some of them they're depressed, or they just don't have the motor yet, or they don't have like, they don't care about their life enough to like kind of do a lot of stuff. Like, even if you're like, just experience life, you should just be doing. I was always doing just a lot of stuff just because I don't want to sit inside. I did that, like I said, I did that until I got into undergrad, the entrepreneurship program. I was like, oh, I want to like do a lot of things. I want to experience things. And like, even though I was broke, I'd still go like, I don't know. I've never been hunting. I don't like guns, but I'll go with my buddy just to see what it's like. And it sucks. But getting a tree stand at like 5 a.m., fuck that noise. I'm not doing that again, but I've done it. And so, it's that like, sometimes you just never know kind of stuff, but surround yourself with active people too. Like,
definitely.
One of the best roommates I had, and he was one of my groomsmen, he would wake me up and be like, you're not sleeping in. Let's go. We're going to go do something. And I'm like, fuck yeah. I wish I had that kind of gumption all the time.
It's almost like an accountability partner. So I think the second level, that's so definitely looking for people that are better than you, metaphorically, I guess, and doing what you want to do someday. But then I read it recently in a book called Stop Chasing Influencers by Jared Easley. He's the owner of the Podcast Movement Conference. Mm-hmm. And he said, really pay attention to your third tier, not your A-listers, your B-listers, but your third tier, the people that are on your same level, that have the same motivation that you do, and grow with them. So he gives the example of Dave Ramsey, Michael Hyatt, and Dan Miller. Mm-hmm. Those three guys have been collaborating for 20 years, but they all started about the same level, and they grew together. They support each other. They, influenced or marketed each other's different services together and partnered and worked and stuff. So finding those people that have the same mindset as you that aren't necessarily there too is a really good advice, because they can help hold you accountable.
That's a really good way to conceptualize it, because I'm visualize that, and I put you in that tertiary circle because you're doing what you're doing. We're both doing it kind of, I'm not sure how old you are. I'm 31, but
37.
A
new 37 though.
Yeah, well, you've got more energy than I do. So, but I'm saying that's where I'd put you in that kind of band. I don't know why I'm thinking of like an ozone layer, but something like that, where it's kind of
I can
tears out of that. I don't know why. My brain's weird. All right. Well, look, we'll have you back on, man, because there's way too much. There's way too much stuff you can impart. Obviously, just names of philosophies alone and efficiency.
Sure.
But I think this is really good. And if you like this, Make It Snappy. When do you release them? I'm not sure.
Right now I'm doing Tuesday nights and Thursday nights. Probably gonna go to Monday nights and Thursday nights, just because put a little bit more space in between. But it's makeitsnappyshow.com for the website, and then /podcast for the podcast.
And then for your company, what's the do you have any plug for that, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing it all now through the Make It Snappy brand. I mean, look, my name's Nick Snapp, and people have been making a brand out of my name my entire life, and finally doing something about it. So I'm starting there. So there's links to my company's called IME Solutions, because the whole notion of inspiring people to take action is empowering to me. So
cool.
That's why I named the company the way I did. But yeah. Give me a call. We'll make it snappy.
Right on, man. Well, if anybody wants to email me, I can forward you to Nick. But or you have a guest in mind, you got a question we want to bring up on air. My email is law@tocoworks, LAWTOCOWORKS.com. Yeah, that's my radio kind of breakdown. WNBC. But if I love where this podcast is going. I like where yours is going. I've listened to the last 3.
Thanks, man.
I like the high production value, and you are an efficient interviewer too. So that's it bleeds through when I was listening to it. But yeah, we'll have you back on and keep it snappy.
That'd be great, man.